So, when I was getting Anna out of bed this morning, she said, "What did you say? You said, I want you to tell me your story?" Something. I was like, "What story?" And she's like, "Your whole story from the time you were born." I'm like, "Well, that's 42 years of story. I don't know if I could tell you everything, but maybe I can give you the highlights." Let's see. So I was born, and we lived in a house in Allen Park, Michigan, when I was born. And I was an only child the whole time we lived there. For the first 6 years of my life, I was an only child. And let's see, I remember my mom and dad both worked. My mom worked at a police station, and my dad worked at Ford already because he started right out of high school there. And I went to kindergarten there and first grade there. I was one of only two kids in my kindergarten class who knew how to read already. And the other kid that knew how to read already, his name is Wesley. And Wesley and I are still connected on Facebook to this day. So he's my longest friend that I know. I've known him since kindergarten. Let's see. I just remember, the most I remember from living in Allen Park when I was up to age 6 was just playing with the kids outside. We'd always run up and down the sidewalk all day, riding bikes and goofing around and whatever. And we used to be able to, I used to be able to walk places by myself back then. So things were at least, they felt safer, I guess, maybe, or something. But I used to be able to walk up to the park by myself when I was like 5 or 6. I used to walk to school by myself. It was like 3 blocks away. So things were different back then as far as that goes. So then when I was 6, my sister was born, my first sister, Katie. And I wasn't too happy about that because I was by myself up until then, and now there is another baby, another kid that was important. And we moved out to the country, moved out of the city and into the country, so we had more space to run around. I remember, and then after my sister was born, then there were like 3 more born, kind of all close together. So I have 2 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters. You know that. And they were all born kind of close together. So Katie is 6 years younger than me, and then the last one, Julie, is 12 years younger than me. So there's a pretty big age gap. And we used to just play outside a lot. I remember running around. We had 3 acres. I would play on a tire swing, and I sang a lot, just like you. I sang. I remember I watched the Little Mermaid movie over and over and over and over and over again, and I used to sing Little Mermaid songs while swinging on the tire swing outside.
I have a tire swing.
And
A swing that has a tire.
yeah, it is. It's a swing that has a tire. My dad used to hook up the wagon to the tractor that he used to mow the lawn. You know, like the one he was driving around here the other day? It was like that. He'd hook up the wagon to the back of it, and he'd pull us on it. We'd go for wagon rides on the tractor. And we used to have a couple of go-karts when I was little. And my dad would mow, like the back acre, he would mow down a race car track in a circle around it.
What's
And
a mo-kart?
what's a what?
What's a mo-kart?
What's a go-kart?
Yeah.
A go-kart. It's like a little motorized car that you just push the gas or the brake on, and it goes really fast and drives. It's like really small and low to the ground. Little go-kart. I can show you a picture of one later.
Yeah.
But he used to mow down a track, and so we would race go-karts out back on the back acre in a circle. That was fun. In the winter, the 1 acre out back would like flood, or like snow would melt or something, and then it would freeze over. And so I would have my own private ice skating rink, and I would take ice skates out back and go ice skating. Yep.
Yes.
I was in gymnastics from the time, I think I remember.
I saw a picture of that.
Yeah, I remember starting gymnastics in Allen Park. So I think I was about 5 when I started, and I
You were
didn't.
15.
I stopped when I was 15, when I got pregnant with your mom. 16, 15, almost 16. So yeah, I did that for like 10 years. I was a Girl Scout my whole life.
10 years?
Yeah. I went to Girl Scout camp every summer, and I loved it. That was my favorite place to be, was Girl Scout camp. And I went horseback riding, and I was even a camp counselor for a couple of years.
What?
Yeah, like a junior counselor before your mom was born. Oh, let's see, what else?
Cool.
I remember. I just remember.
22 years old.
I remember my dad singing a lot when I was little. He would always make up songs about different stuff, or sing songs from the radio. So that's where I got a lot of my desire to sing random things, which you do now too. Yeah. So, and I went.
Make up your own songs.
Yep, make up your own songs. I went through school out there up through middle school, and then we moved again. When I went into high school, we moved to Trenton, and I was on the gymnastics team for high school, and I competed, and that was a lot of fun. I did that for a couple of years.
You won.
I a couple times, yeah. And then I got pregnant with your mama right after I finished 10th grade. And I got my first job when I was 13, working at an apple orchard called Apple Charlie's. I made donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so then your mom came, and I worked. Part time whenever I could, when I could find a sitter, like part time minimum wage jobs. I never really made much money, and then
Like a babysitter?
yeah, I had to find people to watch your mom so I could go to work. And then your Uncle Austin came just a couple years later, because your mom and Uncle Austin are 3 years apart. And so then I had 2 kids. I got my GED when I was pregnant with Austin, because I dropped out of school when I was pregnant with your mom, because I was embarrassed to go to school because I was pregnant very young. So I made some bad choices there. But I got my
When did you go graduate?
when I got my GED when I was pregnant with Austin. It's not the same as fully graduating, but it's a GED. And so then for the next, I don't know, 6 years, I guess, I just worked as much as I could, and raised your mom in Austin, and did the best I could, being pretty poor, really. We didn't. Your mom didn't get to do nearly as much stuff as you get to do, because I didn't have the money to take her to do things. So I feel bad about that, but there's nothing I can do now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see, I did get married at one point to an old friend, thinking that would be a good idea, and it turned out not to be such a good idea. So 5 years later, I got unmarried. And when I got unmarried, I didn't want to go back to being poor with your mom and Austin were teenagers at the time. And, they require more money. Your mom was in swimming, like her whole middle school, high school, and that was money. And I wanted them to have more opportunities and be able to do things and go to college and stuff. So I knew I needed a better job. So I went back to school. I went back to school when I was like 32, I think. And I started at the community college, which is like a junior college. And that's the graduation that you saw, where I gave the speech in front of everybody. Because I graduated top of the class. And got my Associate of Science degree. And I was able to apply for University of Michigan. That's when I got accepted to University of Michigan to finish my bachelor's degree. And that's when I moved out to Ann Arbor, where we live now. And I did my bachelor's degree, and I did well, and then I applied to go to graduate school at University of Michigan, and I got in. And that's when I found out.
When did you do gymnastics?
That was back before your mom was when I did gymnastics. At my high school, I did gymnastics. Not in college. In college, I did permaculture. Yeah. I designed a whole... I didn't design it, but I wrote for a grant and received a grant, and a team of people. I led this group called the Permaculture Design Team. And I wrote for a grant and received a $10,000 grant, and the 6 of us installed a permaculture food forest at the University of Michigan student farm on the Botanical Gardens property. We installed a food forest. So that's what I did while I was in undergrad. And then when I was graduating from undergrad, that's right before I graduated was when your mama told me she was pregnant with you. And so I had already been accepted into grad school for the fall, and you were going to come right after I started grad school. And so I was getting ready for you and getting ready for grad school. And then you came.
I came out.
You came out, and you were awesome. And I took care of you and finished grad school. And then we moved into our new place where we are now. And you know the rest, because you were there.
And then we went from our home to up north.
Yep, and now we're up north.
Yeah.
That's my story.
That was such a long story.
It was, and that wasn't even a fraction of the details. Let me tell you some funny things. I'll tell you a couple funny things that happened when I was little. Take a bite of your sandwich. So one funny thing that happened when I was little is I remember one time I got sick, like with a cold or something, and my nose was all stuffy. And my mom was giving me medicine, like a children's Tylenol or something that you put in your mouth and chew up. But she just handed me the pill, and I said, "What is this for?" I was like 5, I think. And she said, "It's for your nose," because my nose was stuffy. So guess what I did?
What?
I stuck it up my nose. It got stuck in there, and she had to go in with like tweezers and pull it out. I thought it was for my nose, so I stuck it up my nose. And then another time, I was outside in the winter. It was cold. And I had this heater in my room that was like a metal, it was like a rectangle box you plug in, and it was a metal grate on the front of the heater. Like, just like metal, kind of like the grates in the floor for the heat vent. And the grate would get very hot, like it would turn bright red because it was hot and it was sending out heat to heat up the room. And I was cold, so I decided to bend over and stick my butt towards the heater to get nice and warm. And I didn't touch it. I never touched it. But I guess I was close enough, and my butt was cold enough that I didn't feel it for a while. And then it started hurting, and I went downstairs and showed my mom, and I had lines from the heater all over my butt from it burning my butt. Because I was too close to it. Yeah. Oh, funny. But yeah, we used to come up here every summer when I was little. My dad would bring us up. We would come up here every single summer.
And that's the funny thing, or you made up silly songs with your dad.
Yeah, and we used to go swimming in Crystal Lake. And we went to the Gwen Frostic store where I took you, and we went downtown to Frankfurt Beach and got ice cream. And I
Ice
remember one time we brought the go-karts up and we raced them up and down this hill out here. Yep. A lot of memories from coming up here when I was little.
Yeah, me. I want to buy a go kart.
You want to buy a go-kart?
Is it like one of those little things, like a little motorcycle with a little electronic thing that you push the buttons?
No, it's more real than that. It's not a toy. It's like an actual like motor vehicle. Faster and more dangerous. But I'll show you. I'll show you a picture. All right, is that a good story?
Yeah.
Then enough for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm full.
You're full. All right.